For decades, Canada and the United States have shared more than a border. They've shared a partnership, a friendship, a bond that felt almost familial. The world's longest undefended border has seen a constant flow of people, goods, and ideas. But in 2025, something has changed. A quiet exodus is underway. Thousands of Canadians are rethinking trips to the US. This isn't a blip, it's a trend, and the numbers are stark. Last year, Canadians spent over $20 billion in the US, making them America's top international tourists. This year, road crossings have collapsed by 32%, with nearly 900,000 fewer trips in just 1 month. Air travel from Canada is down over 70%. For states that rely on Canadian visitors, the impact is immediate and painful. Today, we'll reveal the 7 states hit hardest by this collapse, explore why Canadians are staying away, and consider how this shift could reshape cross-border tourism for years to come. Let's begin. First stop, Florida, the winter haven for generations of Canadian snowbirds. Canadians weren't just tourists here. They were the backbone of local economies, filling restaurants, golf courses, and condos every winter. This year, that reliable migration has faltered. Counties like Broward and Palm Beach report alarming drops in Canadian visitors. Hotel vacancies are up, and small businesses are struggling. The real estate market, especially short-term rentals, is feeling the strain as property owners scramble for tenants. Why the exodus? Rising US costs and a weak Canadian dollar have made Florida vacations far pricier. For retirees on fixed incomes, the math no longer works. But it's not just economics. Many Canadians are uneasy about the US political and social climate, making Florida feel less welcoming. The result? Florida's tourism sector faces a systemic shock. The state is scrambling to diversify its visitor base and lure Canadians back, but rebuilding trust won't be quick. Meanwhile, snowbirds are exploring new destinations, warmer parts of Canada, Mexico, the Caribbean, even Europe. Florida's loss is another region's gain, and the era of the Canadian snowbird may be ending. The Sunshine State must adapt or risk being left in the cold. The question: can Florida reinvent itself for a new era of tourism? The answer is far from certain. The shadow of this exodus looms large. Next, New York State, a longtime playground for Canadians from Ontario and Quebec. Weekend trips to New York City, shopping sprees in Buffalo, and getaways to the Adirondacks were once routine. Now the Peace Bridge and Rainbow Bridge see far less traffic. Outlet malls near the border, once packed with Canadian shoppers, are struggling. In New York City, hotels and Broadway theaters report fewer Canadian bookings. The culprit? The exchange rate. What used to be a bargain is now a splurge. High costs for hotels, food, and entertainment make trips less appealing. Add in longer border wait times and increased scrutiny, and the once easy journey feels like a hassle. Political polarization in the US is another deterrent, especially for Canadians from progressive cities. New York's tourism board is working to highlight value, but border towns like Buffalo face an existential crisis. The easy, symbiotic relationship is gone. New York must rethink how to attract visitors or risk a permanent decline. The Big Apple's bite from the Canadian market is smaller than ever. The question: can New York win back its northern neighbors? Only time will tell. Now to Nevada, Las Vegas, the city of spectacle, once a favorite for Canadian tourists. Direct flights from Canada made Vegas an easy getaway, but this year, arrivals are down sharply. Casino resorts and entertainment venues report fewer Canadian guests and softer ticket sales. The convention industry is also feeling the pinch, with fewer Canadian delegates. The reason? The exchange rate makes every dollar spent in Vegas feel like a gamble. Rising resort fees and higher prices have soured the experience for many repeat visitors. Meanwhile, all-inclusive resorts in Mexico and the Caribbean offer better value and predictability. For Canadians, the Vegas trip is no longer the affordable luxury it once was. Nevada must now double down on attracting new markets. The once reliable flow of Canadian visitors is now a risky bet. Las Vegas faces a new reality: adapt or lose out. The city's resilience will be tested. The stakes have never been higher. California, the Golden State, long a dream destination for Canadians. From Disneyland to the Pacific Coast Highway, millions visited each year. But now, airports in LA and San Francisco report sharp declines in Canadian arrivals. Theme parks, hotels, and rental car agencies are all feeling the loss. The culprit: California's high costs, amplified by a weak Canadian dollar. What was once an achievable dream vacation now feels out of reach for many families. News of homelessness and crime in major cities adds to the hesitation. Competing destinations, Mexico, Hawaii, even Asia, offer better value and novelty. California can no longer rely on its brand alone. The state must address cost and safety concerns to win back Canadians. The fading California dream is a wake-up call for the tourism industry. The Golden State's allure is no longer guaranteed. Reinvention is now essential. Arizona, once a winter paradise for Canadian snowbirds. The Phoenix-Scottsdale area thrived on Canadian visitors, but this year, flights and bookings are down. Resorts, golf courses, and restaurants are quieter. The real estate market for vacation homes is uncertain. The exchange rate has made winter stays far more expensive, especially for retirees. Political headlines from Arizona add to Canadians' reluctance. Many are now seeking alternatives. Portugal, Spain, and Mexico offer better value and adventure. Arizona's tourism officials face a tough challenge: reassure Canadians and compete globally. The comfortable, reliable relationship is gone. Arizona must adapt or risk a prolonged drought in winter tourism. The stakes are high for local economies. The desert's dry spell may last longer than anyone expected. The competition for Canadian visitors is fierce. Michigan, deeply connected to Ontario, with the Ambassador Bridge and Detroit-Windsor Tunnel as lifelines. Canadians once flocked to Detroit for sports and shopping, fueling local economies. Now, border traffic has slowed to a trickle. Downtown Detroit's hospitality sector is hurting. Malls in Port Huron and Dearborn are struggling. The exchange rate has erased any financial incentive for Canadians to cross the border. Increased border friction and longer wait times add to the deterrent. Michigan businesses must now focus on domestic customers. The region's cross-border identity is under threat. Economic interdependence has weakened. Rebuilding the flow of commerce will take more than marketing. Michigan faces a tough road ahead. The bridge to recovery is longer than ever. Washington State, historically intertwined with British Columbia. Border crossings at Blaine and Sumas, once bustling, are now quiet. Bellingham's retailers and Seattle's attractions are missing Canadian dollars. The exchange rate has flipped the script. Shopping in Canada is now cheaper. Long border wait times and logistical hassles deter even the most loyal visitors. Cultural and political differences are widening, making trips south less appealing. Washington's border communities must reinvent themselves to survive. The state's tourism industry faces a major challenge: replace lost Canadian visitors or face decline. The easy, mutually beneficial relationship is disrupted. The path back to normalcy is unclear. Washington must adapt to a new reality. The Pacific Northwest's cross-border flow may never be the same. The cascade of concern is real. We've crossed the continent, hearing the same story in 7 states. Empty hotels, quiet malls, and vacant seats. These numbers reflect a rupture in a once unbreakable relationship. This isn't a political boycott, but a grassroots decision by millions of Canadians. The exchange rate is the immediate reason, but deeper cultural and political shifts are at play. The question, is this a temporary dip or a permanent realignment? Can old bonds overcome new barriers, or will travel patterns be redrawn for a generation? The answers are uncertain, but the border now feels longer and harder to cross than ever. The economic ties that once bound these nations are being tested as never before. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Have you seen the changes yourself? Quieter streets, emptier stores, familiar places losing their rhythm? Share your experiences and stories in the comments below. And as always, thank you for watching and staying informed.